Hi, my name is Joel, and today I want to talk to you about depression and 5 ways how we can fight against depression. And so, what is depression? According to the American Psychiatric Association, depression is a common and serious medical illness that negatively affects how you feel, the way you think, and the way you act. Depression causes feelings of sadness and a loss of interest in activities once enjoyed. It can lead to a variety of emotional and physical problems and can decrease a person's ability to function at work and at home. And the first reason is you need to know what causes you to become depressed. I am depressed because of grief, because I've lost my daughter in 2018, and so it's been a year now and a bit, and it's been very difficult because of this grief process, that losing your daughter, your loved one. And you know what they say, you're not supposed to bury your daughter or your son. Fortunately, that it happened to us. This is the cause of my depression. I was always a happy person, but until that event, or the event that led to that event. And so, knowing what causes your depression is one way of fighting against it or battling with it. I'll talk more about grieving on my next video. The second way to fight against depression is to take your time. It's like baby steps. So I know for some of you who are depressed, every day is just so hard, and even thinking about next day or next week or next year, that's even harder. And for me, I couldn't do that when I was depressed. I am still going through depression at this moment because of my grief, but I'm moving slowly, day by day. I just take it day by day. And that's not like me, because for me, I like to take in the big picture. After losing my daughter for months and months, I would just be sleeping and I would just isolate myself. And I couldn't even think long term. I couldn't even think what I'm gonna do next day or next week. And that was unlike me, because I like to plan ahead of time. But with depression kind of takes that away from you. And that's what depression is. It's basically a prolonged sadness. And it takes away the joy of doing the things that you love to do. The third way to battle against depression is to get some help. Be open for help. For me, it was the psychologist, the bereavement counselor, bereavement support group that we have here with other parents. I talk to my pastor all the time about depression. I just want to say too that when you go and ask for help, for example, in my psychiatrist or my psychologist, I'm aware that his goal for me is to go back to work. So he would say a lot of things that are hurtful, but I've always looked at it from his perspective. His perspective is to get me back moving to work. He would say some hurtful things like, you don't need to go to bereavement counselor because that makes you stuck in grief. But I'm like, in bereavement counselor, that's actually the place where I feel better, because I'm surrounded with people who have the same feelings as me. I'm able to express myself, and my psychiatrist would say, or my psychologist rather, would say, well, you already know that you're not alone in this, so why do you still go there? So he does not understand how I feel. At times it's really frustrating, but at the same time, I know that he's got a goal, he's got an agenda at the back of his head, and that is to get me back to work. I think he's working for the insurance. He says he's working for me, but he was referred by the insurance. But anyway, yeah, find some people who has the same feelings as you, who's been there before, and just ask them, how did you do it? And so the next one is ask yourself a question. I'm really good in terms of self-talk. There were days when I was just lying in bed and I would ask myself, hey dude, this is not you. You can do better than this. And so the questions that I had is, what brings you joy? What brings me joy? In my case, I still have my 2 kids, Cloud and Sky, and of course my wife. I had to find ways, and I really had to dig deep inside myself and say, hey, what brings me joy? And I would have to concentrate on that and just cherish that and focus on that to make me feel better. And the last tip that I have for you is to start moving. It's not easy, but just start moving. It could be just a simple 5-minute walk. For me, because I love to do exercise when before this old thing has happened, so I went back to the gym. But the thing is, I kept saying to myself, I'm gonna go back to the gym, I'm gonna go back to the gym, and ended up not going to the gym. So what my psychologist said is that what you need to do is to set up a time. Say tomorrow I'm gonna go for a walk, and set up be very specific. Tomorrow at 9 o'clock I'm gonna go for a walk, and block that in your calendar and just go for a walk and enjoy the walk. Embrace the walk. I know it's not easy being in our situations, those who are depressed, especially for me, with the loss of my daughter, 4-year-old daughter. And it's horrible and it's hard, but at the same time, we all know that we have to move one way or the other. And I hope that my tips for you today is helpful, and I hope that you've enjoyed them. And comment below and let me know what works for you if you are depressed or if you're going through depression. What works for you, because it's good to connect with another person who's feeling the same way as you do. Other than that, have a great day.